Good day, everybody. We're at June 10th, 2026. We're going to talk about what's happening in Santa Clarita overall in real estate and also give you an idea what you might be able to better position yourself with when it comes to either buying or selling real estate. Sellersonlyagent.com is the resource. Let me give you the numbers here. So 727 total active real estate listings for sale, and they've been up and running. We have some properties that have been on the market almost 6 months currently, but most of them sell pretty quickly, either within 30, 45 days or so. That's where properties happen to be going out at. It depends on the price, and it also depends on the seller strategy and what the offerings happen to be. But that's something to look at. Now, 727, if we go back to January of this year, 2026, we only had 500, 480, 490, 500 listings. So that we've gone up quite a bit since then. We do have a higher buyer drive, even with the interest rates and the way that they've been positioned. Historically, if you look at interest rates where they are now, and I know that's easy to say, hard to swallow, but where they are now, they're actually lower than the trend has been typically. If you go back to the 70s, they were 16, 17%. So there you go. So we kind of perspective. However, properties back then were a lot less expensive than they are now. So that's something else. So when you're hearing the one thing from agents, understand there's also another piece of that to be included. Now, looking at what's happening in the residential market, 13 properties have been posted coming soon. If you haven't seen those, you need to go to SantaClaritaComingSoon.com and you'll be able to get those properties. Now, I don't represent buyers. If you have an agent, hit them up. I don't mind sending these. It's not a problem. I also give a good buyer webinar and education process because I did that for 21 years now. I'm on the seller side only. And if you're looking for that buyers only agent, I have that. I also founded a fair fixed fee system with the lawsuits and everything that have been happening with the boards of realtors lately. I did set out and do something for the National Association, something that basically countered that old percentage model. You can see that at sellersonlyagent.com. New listings 75 this past week. 84 properties have had their prices changed. These are all reductions, folks. No increases in price. Back on market properties 17. 17 properties have fallen out of escrow. 27 properties have gone active under contract. You might see those still showing active on the syndication sites. That's because they want to hook you in. Be wary. Make sure you're using good MLS systems to search for real estate. Syndication sites are fine, but they're going to be showing you gamed information. Their algorithm, their program, they have their AI structured is to elicit some kind of a buying decision or a selling decision. So be wary when you're searching the online portals. Find that local agent, the person that you like, and just go all in. If they're not lying to you, if they're being honest with you, follow up everything in emails, completely transparent, you're probably not going to do better. So watch out for that and be careful. Now, following this, we have the 49 properties have gone pending. 48 properties actually closed escrow this week. 9 expired, 8 canceled, 5 were put on hold, and 4 have been withdrawn from the market. Now, looking at that 727, that's going to be single-family residences, both attached and detached. We have a few different configurations for those, condominiums, and of course, townhomes. Now, just let everybody remind everybody, condominiums are like a box-style apartment. You usually share floors and ceilings, walls, depending, and the property's like a rectangle or a square. You walk in, that's your living space. That's typically condo. Condos usually don't have direct garage access, depending on how they're configured. Most of the times the garage is somewhere else, carport, parking space, or if it has it at all. So that's where condominiums are. Townhomes, usually you have your structure. You could share walls with other townhomes, but it's multi-level usually. So that's the differentiation. And then, of course, single-family residences, attached and detached, usually their own front yard, own backyard. And if they're attached, they might share a wall, garage wall usually, sometime a residential wall. When you're purchasing those properties as a buyer or even a seller getting those listed for sale, a good buyer that's been informed is going to be having an insurance agent run a clue report, because if there's anything that has occurred on the property that's joined to the one they're thinking about buying and that has been an insurance claim or resulted in some kind of an insurance activation for the subject property, yeah, you're going to have a question for the buyer, and then maybe those insurance rates are going to be higher. Maybe that could equate to them not wanting to purchase the property. Happens. So running those clue reports through that escrow process is important, and it's something that used to be done. I think now it's done more often just because of the insurance debacle we've seen here in Southern California. Insurance is a money making. industry, right? And if everybody had to pay out as far as insurance go, there wouldn't be any. So whenever they do have to pay out, usually things seem to be restructured pretty quickly. God, it's just amazing that's allowed to happen. But yes, it happens, and we have a lot of insurance companies that are folding and pulling out of California. But that's a new for other types of insurance. So we're seeing those come in here. That being said, you're a home seller and you have had a policy for the last 20 or 30 years, you might just be having been grandfathered in to keep that insurance. But once you're done, that buyer that buys your house, they're not going to be able to use the same company you happen to be using. So a good agent's going to give you the instruction to follow up and find out where your particular policy is, if your policy is transferable to a new buyer, and if not, if there's even insurance available with that particular carrier you have on your residence for any other buyers. And if not, that's good information to know because the buyer's going to be doing their investigation, and at least you might be able to, head them a pass, if you will, by finding out or having your agent find out. I would do this for my seller. What kind of insurances are available? Now, I'm not an insurance expert, but it's not hard to make a phone call, talk to somebody, and get a name and a number. So any buyer that comes in via another agent, often the agents have questions. Well, what's the insurance like? Well, that's easy. Here's a cat. You call him, and he'll be able to give you the rundown. And I've already told the cat, usually Scott Wilk, and I'll tell him already, this is going to work. This is this address, this property, give him all the information on it. So when somebody else calls and they happen to be a prospective buyer or that buyer's agent, he's able to answer their questions. And it's lovely. It works out perfectly. And sellers are very happy, and so are buyers. But doing that due diligence upfront, incredibly important. If I say due diligence more, I'm going to go crazy. All right, so 9 expired, 8 properties canceled, 5 have been put on hold in the past 7 days, and 4 have been withdrawn from the market. Something to also be aware of. If you're a buyer, you don't find that residence, right? You look at what's available currently via some MLS system, one of the local agent websites or Board of Realtors websites. So you're looking at the real stuff. You don't see what you want. There's other ways to attack that. There's other ways to skin that cat. Can we even say that? There's other ways to do it. And the other way would be having your agent do some research on the properties that have canceled, withdrawn, and expired from the market. That's not hard to do. They can just include those in properties they send. And once they understand intimately what you're looking for as a buyer, which is every agent's job, that's to the puzzle, finding an agent that actually wraps their brain around exactly what you're looking for and does the hunting for you. Of course, you're going to have all the time to do it, and you're going to be doing it a lot. A good agent's going to be using a lot of their time to also hunt for that perfect home for you. But having said that, they can also go into the system and they can generate real estate listings that match your criteria that didn't for whatever reason. And sometimes they can make that relationship happen, and they can they can represent you in the purchase of this off-market property, whether they're going to solicit the seller themselves or whether they're going to go through that other agent, however that happens to work. But there is a process in place for this. So don't just think because you're not seeing it online that it's not there. It could very well be something that you'll be able to purchase, or there could be a property fitting your criteria, and you'll be able to move forward with it. That's where we are with real estate. Thank you so much for watching. I know if you're watching this, you probably saw that first 3 minutes in a short. This is the more longer term. We're coming up on 10 minutes, June 10th, 2026. I'm Connor with Honor, sellersonlyagent.com. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Be well. Trying to find